Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, March 27th, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The Ministry of Health said it has received results for all but one of the COVID-19 cases it sent to Trinidad for testing, and the results indicate there are no new COVID-19 cases in SVG. In a news release issued on Thursday night, the ministry said to date 31 persons have been tested for COVID-19 with 34 swabs done. Results for 30 persons have been received with one positive result, that of the index case on March 11, 2020. One result remains outstanding. In the meantime, the ministry is urging the general public to adhere to the advice provided on hand washing hygiene, physical social distancing, and to the quarantine requirements for all persons who have recently traveled from the USA, Canada, the United Kingdom, and the European Union, including Martinique and Guadeloupe. The ministry said it will continue to provide the public with additional information as it becomes available. And a Cuban medical team consisting of 4 doctors and 12 nurses arrived in the state last evening to assist with the country's fight against COVID-19. The team was welcomed at the Argyle International Airport by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, members of cabinet, senior public servants, and local representatives of the governments of Cuba and Venezuela. In other news, the National Insurance Services NIS has responded to the threat of COVID-19 with advanced pension payments. In a news release, the NIS says it continues to monitor the development of the virus and its severe disruptions of lives and livelihoods and its social and economic impact, and as such its advanced pension payment is to help safeguard the lives and livelihoods of pensioners and to help them prepare for likely restrictions on opening hours for businesses. The NIS said that the next 2 monthly pension payments will be made early, with the last fortnightly payment made today, March 27, 2020. The next payment is expected to be made on April 3rd for the 4-week period, March 30th to April 25th. This will be followed by a payment on April 30th, which will cover the 4-week period from April 27th to May 23rd, 2020. This, the NIS said, means that pensioners will not receive their normal fortnightly payments as they would have already received them in advance. The next payment date when pensioners are expected to receive their usual fortnightly payments is June 5th, 2020. The Social Security Agency says the rationale for the initiative are to limit pensioners' interaction within public spaces, which align with the social distancing protocols to minimize the exposure of pensioners to the risk of contracting COVID-19, provide pensioners with funds to purchase food, medicine, and to pay utility bills prior to a possible national shutdown or state of emergency. As many persons here and around the world do what they can to stave off the coronavirus or COVID-19, which include maintaining good hygiene, proper hand washing, and the use of hand sanitizers, infectious disease specialist Dr. Josie Davy is appealing to persons to exercise caution when trying to make their own hand sanitizers. Her advice comes as many persons have been concocting various mixtures as a substitute for hand sanitizers, as these items have become difficult to get due to a high demand. Speaking with our news team, Dr. Davy said certain chemicals do not mix well and could cause more harm than good.
In terms of hand sanitizers, we want to dissuade the public from really making their own, as in concocting. If you're out of hand sanitizer and you want to use the alcohol, the rubbing alcohol, I see some people putting it in spray bottles, and that is absolutely fine because they're not making a chemical. When you mix things together and you don't know the proportions, you may be harming yourselves. And I believe I even heard of cases where people have tried to put things together and they burn their hands. You have to also remember with the pure alcohol, it's going to dry your skin out. So you may need to moisturize after. because if your hands are dry, then it's susceptible to cracks, and cracks, they enter bacteria and there forms infections.
The infectious disease specialist said some mixtures can be even flammable.
Sanitizers can dry your skin out because then again it's alcohol, just as if you're spraying with the 70% alcohol, it will dry your skin out, creating cracks, creating entry points for microbes. Or mixing any two chemicals, you may create a flammable situation, flammable meaning that you may catch something on fire. So if you don't know the chemistry behind these chemicals, you shouldn't mix anything at all. Yes.
Is there any other risk, like oxygen and so on?
Well, some of the hand sanitizers you have to be careful with because they come scented, and with those scents, it's because maybe somebody mixed a couple chemicals together. So the purest that it is without scent and all of that, the better it is for you.
Dr. Davy reminded the public that hand washing is still the best way to keep hands clean.
Washing is great because one, when the water flows over your hand, it's going to wash away anything that's obvious on it. Let's say you go to the garden and you have soil on your hands. No amount of hand sanitizer will remove the soil from your hands. So the whole action of liquid soap and water, the function of that, especially in the era of COVID, is to break apart the envelope or the covering of the virus. And then when it's left bare, it cannot cause any harm because that virus would be dead. So that's why hand washing is better. But of course, there are instances where you wouldn't have running water and soap. So then you can use your hand sanitizer at 70% alcohol. But if you use it a lot, you notice how sticky it would get. So after a while, you would have to get up and wash your hands with running water and soap.
Persons wishing to get their food stuff and other supplies from supermarkets will experience some inconveniences as these supermarkets have come together to implement new policies as part of their response to COVID-19 by encouraging good hygiene and promoting social distancing. Our news team caught up with the supervisor of Massey's stores at Annisville today, Marissa Woods, who spoke about the measures implemented.
What we have implemented is that we have been letting in only 30 customers at a time into the supermarket. We also have a hand washing basin outside whereby the customers have to wash their hands before they enter the supermarket. Also at all cash registers we have placed stickers so that the customers can keep their distance.
And so far there's been no complaints?
So far no, we haven't had any complaints. The customers are complying with the steps that we have put in place so far, and everything is running smoothly.
And from a personal note, you think this is something you could encourage everybody to do at this point in time?
Well, yes, I think it's something that I could encourage everyone to do because it helps with the COVID virus, right? I remember they said that you have to keep your distance and so forth, so I think it's a good initiative.
Our news team also caught up with some shoppers who believe what the supermarkets have implemented are some good measures.
Everybody will just keep the distance and do what they say for doing. Everything will be great.
Right, that is not inconvenient to you?
No, man, I find it's alright. I find it good still. Even if it's inconvenient for me, brother, what we going to do? We have to just do the necessary thing we're supposed to do. Do the right thing and just everything will go good.
Alright, you think other institutions should follow suit?
Sure, yeah, man.
Yes, it is a good idea because people have to be mindful of the virus itself, and you have to, stay away as far as possible from, any contact with the virus. So these measures that they put in place help to, alleviate some of the problems.
What I think is that it's what the Ministry of Health advises us to do. I guess it must be the right procedure. Practicing hygiene is one of the best, at least they say, to kill this virus. So if it's that we have to do, then we should comply.
Think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. But I think people should have been practicing this thing a very long time, especially since like December last year. People heard about the corona, but people also taking it very serious as much. But now we get panicking time, people try hustling. I think it'll be a little bit too late.
Fruits and vegetables are a rich source of vitamin C and other nutrients necessary to fight off infection. And some of the shoppers couldn't agree more.
For sure. We are more health conscious these days, and we have to be mindful of what we eat, So everybody should try to get on board and try to eat a bit more healthy than they used to in the past.
Fruits and vegetables carry vitamin C and A and B. Yeah, it's a good thing, but plenty of people run to the pharmacy for the bone medication, but the fruit is more faster, and the medication take a little time still to digest in the system.
Our news team also caught up with some fruit vendors who say the natural producers are superior in building the immune system.
Everything for the corona. Plum roses and fruits are good for you because too much junk food ain't good for you these days. Because the virus need the fruits. Fruits good for the virus, right? And people need to eat more fruits out there and keep healthy, make sure the children safe and everybody's safe. Because we have some nice local fruits, organic, no chemical. Not from China, from Vinci. Local organic fruits. So I'm telling the public to come out and eat more fruits. Because most people are going to buy junk food every day. Make junk food they want to eat. Eat more fruits. Fruits keep you healthy and try the best from you.
Sales in between off and on, like sometime last week they have like a little news going around about the shutdown. That was a good day I could say of sales, and the sales are in between. So we're keeping much fruits and vegetables that the people can come and get in stocks for the coronavirus.
We do the corona, but we try to keep ourselves proper still. Hello friend. Okay. So we're bigging up everybody the same way, and we're selling the fruits to keep all the proper, right? And we have lime and lemon to keep the body cleansed.
Everybody's going wrong, but everything going nice. So the foods, Mama Black, very important for the community and everybody.
In keeping with the advice of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, the Rillan Hill Church of the Nazarene said it will limit the number of persons in its Sunday morning worship services to 25. The church said seating will be rearranged in keeping with the physical distancing advice of the health professionals. Persons with underlying health conditions such as diabetes and hypertension are encouraged to experience the service via video broadcast streamed on Facebook on Sunday evenings. The church says these protocols will remain in place until further advice. The Caribbean Examinations Council has announced that the regional examinations will be held in July with major modifications to the sitting in light of the threat of the coronavirus COVID-19. At a press conference in Barbados yesterday, the Chief Executive Officer and Registrar of CXC, Dr. Wayne Wesley, announced that the revised examination strategy will see students being assessed based on their performance in a multiple choice exam and their school-based assessment, which would have already been completed.
The administration of at least one common paper, and in this case, the multiple choice assessment. 2, the utilization of school-based assessment and the paper 3-2, which is the alternative to SBA for private candidates. 3, awarding final grades based on the moderated SBA and the multiple choice assessments.
Dr. Wesley further announced that there will be additional components to be done by students who are sitting the modern language, Spanish, French and Portuguese, human and social biology and visual arts. He said the new strategy will allow for fast, speedy marking of papers, especially for those who are seeking employment.
This strategy will employ the e-testing modality online and offline in order to reduce the administration processing time, resulting in the shortest turnaround time for marking and releasing of examination results. In addition, it will provide an opportunity for timely presentation of grades to facilitate matriculation to higher education and to access employment. This also minimizes disruption to the 2020-2021 academic year.
Students and teachers are encouraged to utilize the CXC Learning Hub, our e-learning platform, which provides learners and instructors with a single access point to multiple resources geared towards exam preparation. And President of the SVG Teachers Union, Wendy Bino, says they are not pleased with the CXC's strategy for examinations to be held in July as the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic still looms. She said there was also no clear structure on how the examinations would be administered. Bino said the Caribbean Union of Teachers, for which she is the vice president, has echoed similar concerns.
My understanding that CXC proposed 3 time frames in light of the COVID-19 situation: May, June, June, July, or September, October. It is a bit disconcerting that the month of July was chosen by the CXC as the official commencement of the exam in an environment that is fluid. Based on the realities, the outbreak began in China in November 2019, and we see that it is still affecting the population 5 months later. So is July a reasonable and pragmatic date for the exam to take place, knowing that COVID-19 didn't reach the Caribbean region until a few weeks ago? So out of an abundance of caution, CXC should probably consider a later date. The early closure of schools and the uncertainty about when they might reopen is also a concern.
The union's argument is that with some examinations to be done online may put some students at a disadvantage.
Every student across the region does not have access to online instruction. This can be potentially discriminatory to some students in the region, since not all Caribbean children, regardless of the territory, have equal access or even access to hardware and connectivity. We are very aware that those problems vary in frequency and intensity depending on the territory and its geography. When we look at the structure of the exam, in this proposed examination, we would want to know what now would be the weighting of the SBA and what will be the weighting of the multiple choice examination. Of concern is the reliability, the validity, and authenticity of the exam. There needs to be some way of assessing the students, but CXC may just need to go back to the drawing board.
Bino said the SVGTU and the Caribbean Union of Teachers are waiting to see how CXC will deal with the matters raised. The World Bank Board of Executive Directors approved on Thursday additional financing of $11.9 million for the Caribbean Regional Communications Infrastructure Program, CARSIP, underway here in SVG, Grenada, and St. Lucia. Of the approved amount, SVG will receive $4.8 million. With this additional financing, schools in SVG will be connected to internet services. Key results include increasing access to regional broadband networks and helping develop an information and communications technology ICT-enabled services industry. The approved financing will also allow for the completion of a regional broadband network as well as training activities, business incubation loans, and implementation support. The program has established undersea cables connecting the 3 countries and is rolling out fiber optics. The program was developed as part of the Caribbean Regional ICT Strategy, the Caribbean Community Digital Agenda 2025, which was designed to address the challenges of a fragmented market and uneven distribution of resources in this sector. The ongoing CARSIP program provides financing in the amount of $25 million of the $11.9 million approved on Thursday. $3 million will go to Grenada, while $4.1 million will go to St. Lucia.